Good job, Jessica.
Do it again.
Oh!
And the reason I'm doing that is that one of the highlights of this budget is that Janice can never get down to. One of the highlights of this budget is that we are doubling the number of households with single-stream recycling in the city of Houston. I'm very excited about that. So we have our green bins here, so we can talk about it. I am happy to be here today to unveil our City of Houston 2014 proposed budget. The total budget is $4.9 billion. The actual tax-supported portion of the budget is $2.2 billion. The budget does not require a tax increase, and I would characterize this budget as reasonable and realistic. The city is in a good place financially. There are still concerns and challenges. We have restored the very difficult cuts we had to make as we were in the depths of the recession. But we have also made some different strategic decisions going forward, and this budget well positions the city for the future. It maintains the focus on my 5 main priorities. First, jobs and sustainable growth here in the city. Public safety, infrastructure, quality of life, and then finally, fiscal responsibility. As I've been saying, and you're going to hear a consistent theme this year, the best can get better. This budget proposal builds on the progress of the last 3.5 years. We've cut waste, we've made city departments more efficient, we've done long-range planning that we've never done here in the city. We've created internal mechanisms to do a better job of management review and auditing of the processes that we have. And we intend to continue to build on this progress. The 5 priorities I quickly ran through, I want to hit some of the high points in the budget. And oh, by the way, this is the version that we give to council. It's something of doorstop. And if council members read through all of this before they vote, it means they're not going to sleep between now and then. But we believe that we've also done some things to make the budget process easier and more efficient, and the budget easier to follow for those who are trying to keep track. And is it up on the city's website?
At the end of the press conference.
At the end of the press conference. So the general public will be able to follow along as well. Going to the budget priorities and tying them to actual things in the budget. For jobs and sustainable development here in the city, the Hire Houston First program will continue to play a role. We're going to always try to keep our tax dollars here locally as we can. In the first year of existence of the program, more than $139 million of city contracts were awarded to certified firms, and we want to grow the number of Houston First firms that are certified and doing business with the city of Houston. And of course, we just made changes to our contracting program and access to minority and business-owned firms. We want to grow that aspect as well. It's about trying to make the benefits of being in the city of Houston available to all communities of the city of Houston, and to be conscious as we spend our tax dollars and how we spend them, and wanting to spend them in a way that not only provides appropriate services, but keeps those dollars down here. We are going to continue our aggressive economic development activities, seeking out firms that want to invest in Houston, building the overall tax base organically. We have, since 2010, helped attract more than $2.2 billion in direct investments through actions by the city government. We want to continue doing that, and we know that those actions have generated more than 250,000 jobs and $300 billion worth of locally produced goods and services. We're very excited about the fact that the city has put nearly 74,000 single-family houses out into the market over the last few years. You look at the indicators, we're expecting some continued aggressive growth in our single-family home market. All good. In the area of public safety, I remind everyone that 2/3 of our $2.2 billion general fund budget, 2/3 goes to public safety. While we had to make some minor cuts in public safety during the lean times, we didn't lay off a single police officer or firefighter. We maintained our investment in the men and women who keep us safe. We're going to continue to put cadet classes through our 2 academies and maintain our service levels in those forces, but it's a significant financial commitment for the city of Houston to maintain this level, and we're always going to look at ways to do it better. There's $2.2 million scheduled in this budget for the final transition of the city's new public safety radio project. It's a relatively small amount of money, but I wanted to mention it here because we just went through the transition to police and fire, and it went amazingly smoothly. This is a decision that was actually made in the previous administration. It was the right decision. City and county operations couldn't talk to each other, and well, they could, but it was a difficult process of patching radios together. And now we have a seamless communication system, and this $2 million is just the last piece to make sure that everything ties together. The budget also creates a forensic transition special fund. We had previously created the local government corporation to oversee our independent crime lab. This is another step forward. Step last year was to see actually 2 years ago, was to see the crime lab as a separate item in the budget, as a standalone. Now it's actually completely outside of the police budget. It will be under the authority of the local government corporation. We have set aside money for them. They will submit a budget to us, which we will approve as other of our component units do. But you'll be able to see that reflected in this budget. Thanks to voter approval of last fall's bond referendum, we will continue to make progress on removal of dangerous buildings in our neighborhood. And I mention that because this year's demo day is Saturday. We're going to go across the city of Houston, tearing down crack houses, neighborhood nuisances. On demo day, we always try to take 100 properties down. That's the benchmark I've given the Department of Neighborhoods. But I would remind everybody that we have been aggressively taking out blight across this community, even in the depths of the recession, for 3.5 years now. And this is my 4th demo day. We're going to continue to do this service. And I appreciate the volunteer help that we receive in demo day. But more importantly, I appreciate the fact that communities in which we demolish these properties are actively engaged in helping us identify the problems, work through the complicated legal process to get them taken down, and helping us move forward. And then I'll note that what you won't see in this budget is any reference to sexual assault kits or DNA backlog. It's paid for out of the 2013 budget. It's dealt with as far as we are concerned. Everything is out of our offices. There's nothing sitting on a shelf anywhere. It's at the labs. We think the bulk of it will be done by this calendar year, but we have given them extra time just to make sure, but we're excited about that. A big new item in the budget, and I know that, see there's some representatives of the Comptroller's office back there. I know they're going to be excited about this, but anyone who's interested in good government should be excited about this. For infrastructure, for the first time ever, there's a general fund line item representing approximately 2% of the average annual capital improvement plan for public improvement items. The way we've done capital projects in the past is we go and we build something new, and then we just let it operate till it runs down. And then we go completely redo it. When we started down the path of doing a complete facilities assessment, so that we would know the condition of every property the city owns across the city, I made a vow that we would begin to do maintenance, renewal and replacement the right way. We would set aside money in each budget as a line item specifically for maintenance and renewal in these facilities that we operate. So we wouldn't be lurching from major capital project to major capital project, but do the cost-saving routine maintenance that will keep us from getting into the situations we have in the past. And so this is the first time you'll see that in the budget. There's no magic percentage. We believe that 2% of that public improvement capital spend is a good place to start, and we believe that we'll be able to maintain our facilities in much better condition going forward, and we can adjust that number going forward as is appropriate. Also on infrastructure, through Rebuild Houston, more than $180 million has already been invested in street and drainage improvements across the city. This is just the beginning of this great pay-as-you-go program. I believe we had 48 projects last year. I think we're going to have some 35 or 36 projects the next year. If you look at the performance measures at the front of your budget book, you will see that the per capita debt for the city of Houston is going down, and that is partially because we have gone to this pay-as-you-go program for street and drainage. FY 2014 will also include additional progress on replacement of city information technology and fleet infrastructure. These are two areas that have been underfunded for years, and in fact, fleet has been handled a little like I described our capital projects across the city, where we build something new and then we just run it into the ground. Well, that's what we've done with our fleet. We make big purchase of fleet vehicles, and then we just run them until we can't run them anymore. The way you operate a fleet is you try to determine what the right size is, and you make a level purchase each year. So you always have new vehicles coming into the fleet, helps you manage maintenance costs, helps you keep a better quality vehicle on the road. We are not completely there yet. First we had to get the consolidation of fleets. We got our arms around our maintenance and operations costs. Now we're beginning to right-size the fleet and get that level purchase going, although it'll take us a little while to get there. Similar problems in IT department, but we're making significant progress. Quality of life, as I demonstrated earlier, you have these green bins here. Number of Houston households with single stream recycling will double from 100,000 households to more than 200,000 households. First phase of the expansion will occur in July, when approximately 35,000 households will be added, and then another 70,000 homes will be added during phase 2 a little bit later in this calendar year. The expansion will impact neighborhoods citywide, rather than being limited to any one particular area of town. I've stated repeatedly that I wanted single stream recycling in every household in Houston. Before I'm gone, I figure I have 2.5 more years to get there, and we're going to push it through as fast as we can. To ensure continued progress on improvements made in recent years on BARC, our Bureau of Animal Regulation and Control, you're going to see some increased funding in BARC of nearly $700,000. It still leaves us below what some of our peer cities here in Texas spend on their animal control agencies, but it's a big step forward. When combined with our much more aggressive adoption efforts and the internal improvements we're making, it's something that can carry us forward into a future budget. Major progress will be made on the Bio-Greenway Connectivity Initiative. And you will find in this budget that we have included funding to continue work to house Houston's chronic homeless. And then to wrap up with more on the fiscal responsibility front, although you've seen that I've woven fiscal responsibility into all of those other 4 areas. As part of a continued commitment to financial transparency, work continues to improve management and oversight of taxpayer funds internally. To this end, more than $675,000 has been included in the budget for enhanced financial controls and audit capabilities. Some of this on the administration side, some of this in the controller's office. In last year's budget, Council added as a budget supplement a request that we do more management initiatives. We were excited about that directive and really taking it to heart, and you will find that in this new budget there were several supplemental budget requests from departments that we put under a category of management review, where we're going to be going in and sitting down with the departments and doing an in-depth look at their workflow to see if in truth they need more budget, more FTEs, or whether there's a better way to do it. This budget also reports several funds that were previously categorized as non-budgeted funds. I'm not going to necessarily list them, but we continue to try to provide more transparency by putting more items up front in the budget. The FY 2014 through 2018 Capital Improvement Plan, also known as our CIP, will be proposed shortly. It complements this proposed budget in its support of growth and investment in the city's future by focusing on infrastructure and public safety. And it moves us forward on that facilities assessment that I mentioned. There's a significant amount of our capital spend will be to take care of what were identified as priority 1 and 2 problems in our facilities assessment. When we couple that with a line item in the budget for ongoing maintenance and renewal of our facilities, it's going to put us well on the road to having a first-class portfolio of city buildings. And just as an aside, not in this budget, but in the current 2013 budget, you will see that we have completely funded our rainy day fund, which we had rolled into our operating budget in the depths of the downturn. So this budget, no tax increase, $20 million in our rainy day fund, 7.5% reserve, unallocated reserve, which is well above our 5% mandated amount, and a prudent but exciting opportunity budget is how I would refer to it, because this allows us to continue to provide the services that Houstonians depend upon, but also signals that we're going to continue to try to do it in a much more effective and efficient manner. And standing behind me, you have Kelly Dowe, Finance Director for the City of Houston, who can help take you down into the weeds on the budget, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Mayor, you can do it if we stay.
Go slower. Okay. It's one of my favorites. So, got it? So, that'll take us to about 55% of the households in the city of Houston.
Mayor, I think since fewer than half of all Houstonians have single-stream recycling, Most people probably don't know what it is. Can you explain what this means?
Many households in the city of Houston have big green buckets that they sort their recycling into, and they put paper in one, and they put cans and aluminum in another, and we ask people to sort it out. We have gone to a single stream program here in the city of Houston where everything goes into one bin. All your recyclables, including glass, goes into one bin, and when we go to the single stream in your neighborhood, we take away your awkward heavy bucket and we give you this rolling green cart. And it means that you can continue to recycle. It actually triples recycling rates in the neighborhoods where we roll it out, and it's much more easy and convenient to manage.
Why is this such a high priority for you?
It's the right thing to do for the planet. It's a great thing to do for our neighborhoods, but it also makes long-term financial sense to preserve landfill space. Anything that we can recycle actually returns money to the city of Houston. It's actually more expensive to recycle on the front end than it is to just take something to a landfill. But when you consider the long-term impacts and the limited life cycle of a landfill, it makes perfect sense for the city of Houston to do this.
Mayor, in this budget, you talked about restoring some of the cuts that have been made. Do you feel like you've in any way set your own priorities in this budget in a different way than during the downturn?
My first few years in office, I came in halfway through a budget cycle and immediately had to start cutting spending. And that first budget, we had slashed several $100 million. I feel like I spent my first term in office plugging holes in a leaky boat. But the boat stayed afloat, and now we have funds to repair the hull and paint the boat and put up a new sail, and we're moving forward. Very excited about this, and so yes, this allows me to, rather than playing defense, to help shape the priorities going forward.